Good evening and welcome everyone to our Fireside Chat titled Opportunity, Growth and Impact, Creating a Sustainable Food System in Thailand. My name is Rafael Strauss and I'm the Content Strategy Manager of Sasin's Sustainability and Entrepreneurship Center. I'm very excited to welcome our speakers tonight, the co-founders of the eco-friendly food service provider Happy Grocers, Moh and Pearl. Thank you very much for being with us tonight. Maybe we should jump right into it. You both share an education background by having graduated from the Bachelor of Arts in Global Studies and Social Entrepreneurship at Thammasat University. Can you give us a little introduction to yourselves and maybe share with us how you met?
Yeah, sure. Hi, everybody. It's a little strange that I cannot see all of you guys. I only see Rafael and Pearl, but it's okay. My name is Moh, and I'm the co-founder of Happy Grocers. And me and Pearl, we basically met when we did our bachelor degree in Global Studies and Social Entrepreneurship in Thammasat. The story of how we met is actually really funny, but I'll let Pearl introduce herself first, and I can jump into that.
Yeah, so my name is Pearl, the co-founder of Happy Grocers. So me and Mo, we went to the same university together. And even the first day of the interview to the university, we were sit right next to each other. And that is how we met. Yeah.
Yeah. And she spent 4 years sitting behind me. So like in Thai university system, when we have exams, we basically would have like student code, right? And we would have to sit accordingly to that code. And Pearl was like behind me for 4 years. So yeah, maybe we built our friendship from there.
Great, that's very cool. How did you guys get to study this Global Studies and Social Entrepreneurship program? It's very unique, it sounds like, and there are not too many of its kind. So,
Okay, yeah, I can start first. So my story is actually funny because it started from me realizing that I want to try different things because I know that I did not know what I want. So when I learned about the program, I just learned that it has the word media in it, and it has the word social science and entrepreneurship in it. So I started to like do a little research about the program and then decided to join. But then at that time, I had like 4 choices to choose of either doing, what are other ones? Some things along the line of like social science and anthropology, sustainable tourism as well. But then, and like other programs are way cheaper. And then my mom was just like shuffling where she should send me to. And then she talked to her boss, who is a dentist, and another boss of my aunt's, who is the boss of like public relation department of Thailand. And then they both say that this is gonna be the future and that my mom should send me there. And once the boss say that, my mom believed them. So thanks to the bosses that enabled me to go to this program. And yeah, that's how I started.
So for me, I was an exchange student in America before, and then my host mom, she was a social worker. And the house that I was living in, we always have the foster kid coming in and out the whole year. And sometimes we even have 14 kids. And then I also get a chance to understand about the social problem through my host mom. And that is the first time that I understand that not only Thailand that facing those kind of problems, but also the other country as well. So that is changing my perspective of the study that, but I don't want to be the social worker. I want to understand what is the problem of the social itself. So I across to see this program and study. Okay, I will get a chance to learn about the social issue. Along the way that I will learn how to do the business as well. And that is how I enroll for this program.
great, thank you very much. Did you both find in the program what you were looking for in the beginning?
Could you say that again, please?
Did you both find in the program what you were looking for in the beginning? Because you tried, it looks like it was sort of a looking glass for you to find.
I feel like I jumped in with no expectation. It's kind of like, it's no expectation-ish because I grew up in the Thai community, right? And I was cultivated to believe that university is everything and that I need to go to Thammasat and all that. But then, so I thought that like being able to get into a university that's like top ones in Thailand is like a checklist that I already have done. But once I got into university, I started to learn that it's actually like not the classes that I went to, that's the point, but the point was like how much of the opportunity and connections that I can make during the studies. And so once I learned that university is actually all about like making connections, getting work experience, getting to make friends, or getting to know professors that at some point become my colleagues, I think if that was the expectation, I think it's really like successfully meet my expectation.
Very cool. Yeah, this is a little bit, my question was in the direction of, you mentioned that you saw an opportunity to create Happy Grocers. So I'm quite interested in this. How does somebody become aware of an opportunity, and how do you identify it as, yeah, this could be actually something where we can build a product around and make not only a business out of it, but also create impact on both sides, on the producer side and the consumer side?
Yeah, sure. So it's like how we started Happy Grocers, right? Okay, sure. So it started from a really tiny moment, actually. It was when I just found posts on Facebook by farmers that we worked with before when we did internship with MIT or other projects, like research project I did before at farmers. And then I started to see that they started to complain that they couldn't distribute the produce because many markets are in lockdown. And also friends who I worked with at the UN before or like in NGOs before, they also started to complain that they couldn't find plastic-free deliveries and also delivery service that could really support local farmers, like small farmers. Because back then, when COVID just hit, Thailand just became really crazy with deliveries, right? And it's like plastic on plastic again. And also the people that would have the resources to adjust at the time would be like big malls or big supermarket that could have delivery service plugged into their products. So what happened was that when I saw it, I was just like, okay, because I had to give up on my tourism project, let's just do something fun. So I just started a post on Facebook and say that if anybody wants fresh produce, I can provide them that because I know people. And then I just posted, I think I posted in RE group and also my own Facebook. And then after like only a night, I got like 20 orders. And of course, I didn't have any plan. That's why Pearl came in. I'm just going to let her tell us more about that story.
Yeah, so it's basically because as Moh mentioned, we used to intern with a program that about agriculture like 2 years before we graduate. And at that time, I was like passionate about the agriculture already. But then after all, I said, go try in the new industry or whatever. So when Moh was like contacted me about the delivery service, it doesn't make sense because all the farmer and everything it's like will come from the south and then it will be delivered the next day. We search on a logistic company and it doesn't work in 1 day or stuff like that. So first of all, we have to like kind of replanning about the operation. And at that time I was in Bangkok, so I have her out to the first delivery batch that we got, and then was turned out that it keep coming with the second batch, third batch. So we can see that like, okay, there is the demand. So I was like talking to Moh for make this one better in terms of the operations. We need her to be in Bangkok as well because with the operations process is actually a lot long and complicated. So yeah, so that's how Moh come to Bangkok, and we were together in Bangkok.
Very cool. Yeah, I looked at your website and you have two very cool graphics under the methods you explained. The one is the design thinking process, the other one the social entrepreneurship process. Can you talk a little bit about either one of them? to give us a little bit more insight how you brought those concepts into your business thinking and making this product Happy Grocers a reality.
Yeah, sure. So our studies actually is like one of the biggest experience that we started to use design thinking, because we usually have to do design research and then try to come up with some product or service that would solve each of these problem that we found during the research. Either it's like education, health, sexual violence, and many other projects that we have done before. So spending 4 years practicing that methodology kind of embed that into our mindset of like trying to look at things from the perspective of who are we trying to serve and what we are trying to achieve in order to either uplift the community that we are supporting, or if it's a product, we really have to look at who is the users, or if it's a service, is like we really have to look from who's going to be the one who adopt that solution. And when we started Happy Grocers, that mindset just came really naturally because we have been trained to think that way. That's the reason why we are really like cool with just starting thing really small and then get feedback and then improve, get feedback and then improve, like step by step, because we feel like the most important thing that would make a product a successful product if when it really helps solve customers' problem. And yeah, that's how we apply that to the way we do Happy Grocers.
Yeah, and I think one thing is that with our knowledge is also the key as well, because we don't have the knowledge about the agriculture and we don't know the price of it. We don't know what is the central price, why certain thing is on that rate and that cost. So as Mo mentioned, when we go to our supplier, we like to talk to them. So like we actually know how the price of rice was set because they explain it to us. No matter your he would do organic one or non-organic one, but like the price doesn't make sense. And then we like dig down and see that the more he sell rice at that price is actually will not help his life getting better. So then we can see the gap of that, and then we talk like among each other that like we actually can sell in another price by bringing this value to our customer by telling the story. So then I think that when people understand that actually getting very cheap price is actually not good. It's not the key to everything. But if they have to pay more expensive, why they have to pay more expensive? Not it's that like the price come up. So that is how we think that transparent come in. But for the transparent come in, we actually have to have those information. And me and Mo, as we have the research background, we like to talk to farmers. So that is how we also like do strategy for our business. And yeah, and like we use that one for the business strategy, and we also use this one for the marketing tools. And that is how we also like communicate to our client.
Yeah, I think something that's really is a clear example of how we apply like human-centered methodology into our business is usually when it comes to organic farming, it has a lot of constraints about how sometimes we work with small farmers, right? And they could have limited consistency. Like let's say I remember that there was like the first few we were like, oh, you want to order this vegetable, you have to order on Monday. You want to order milk, you have to do on Tuesday. You want to order rice, has to be every Thursday or something like that. And then we just like collect more data from our customers and started to realize that people, when they want to eat, they want to just like spend one time shopping a week, not like waiting to not like first to remember what each product would be available. Second, not like they would just like wait for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday to order. Yeah. So when we have that insight, it's kind of our homework to work on the supply to make sure that whatever we do, we just have to make sure that we shuffle different suppliers. We have to also like work with medium farmers as well to make sure that once our primary small farmer don't have something, then we have a secondary source that we can just take in order to make sure that the end users would be able to access things that they want to buy at all time. So I think that's like a key thing that we have learned from our journey, like to shuffle, to do homework on our side, just to make sure that our end consumer would have a seamless experience.
Great. Is there any particular story which opened your eyes to this process or validated this process of MVP testing, if you will, within the journey of Happy Grocers?
I think for me it would be that when we shift to organic one, we also have a supplier that lied to us that everything is organic, and then we didn't know, and that is something that make me and Mo have to study about our service and our product really carefully, that before we launch anything, before we do anything, we have to make sure that we know the product enough, because at that time we didn't know that what is have to be done to be organic, what was required to be organic. And then luckily that we get like our senior friend who was the soil inspector for the organic Thailand. He was saying that the product that we sell is not organic, because he asked for the certificate, he asked for like where it's grown, because it's also have to do with geography as well, and we could not give those answers. So that is the point where we know that if we continue doing this, it's also not good for the business, which is without sincere to our client. And that also means that we fail on doing business, because we could not give the answer on the product that we're selling, because we try to take a shortcut by trusting one supplier who claimed that she has all the organic produce. And that is make Happy Grocers stop operation. And then we have to rethink that whether we want to continue or stop operating that. And then we decide, okay, there is the demand on that. What we need to get done is that we have to study more and make sure and really like spend time on that. Try not to take a shortcut, understand it like every product that we have, and be able to answer. And also getting partner to work with us, they have to teach us something, because when we work to that supplier, we actually learn nothing from that journey at all. So especially with organic, it's very kind of tricky, because some farm can claim that they do organic even though they have certificate, but maybe they don't do it along the way. So the relationship with farmer also very important, and that is how Happy Grocer have to become my full-time job, because we have to really spend time with the farmer side, with the supplier side, because if something happens, health of our client is actually the most important.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that story. That's very impactful. Speaking of impactful, can you pinpoint one either knowledge or tool or technique which you acquired or implemented in your journey, whether it's being in regard to your entrepreneurial mindset or your sustainability mindset, which have Happy Grocer to either grow or validate or bring on to another level? If there would be one thing looking back, what would it be? What sparks your eye?
Just to make sure I understand your question, what would be one skill that we have picked up during our journey in the past 1 year, right?
Yeah, one thing you would recommend to others in a journey similar to yours, which is pivotal for you guys.
I think, so a little bit of the background. So the work that I have done before Happy Grocers is usually related to like facilitation for people to create solution for community issues and stuff like that, right? And back then I feel like what I had done didn't actually lead to any solution, because it's kind of like I was like one of those activists and advocate who just like to point fingers at other people and say that, oh, you should change this, you should change that, but never actually provide any solution to people to act on. So being able to start Happy Grocers, I think it has been really clear to me that once you advocate for something, let's say in our cause, we advocate a lot for sustainable agriculture and also sustainable consumption, right? I feel like advocating for that and have a solution for people to just act on right away has been really, really impactful, has been really effective in terms of, for example, farmers, usually anything that they do are driven by the market, right? And the reason that farmers have been using chemicals a lot is because the market has been requesting for beautiful products all year long, availability, and these put pressures on farmers. But then if I want them to change to sustainable agriculture, what I have to do is just to plug them in with the market that really want that. So when we give requirement to our farmers, we just give them first, it has to be no pesticides. Second, you have to really prove that it's actually good for the environment and also like would really support biodiversity. And it has been proven that it actually works. Like we had farmers that used to grow just corn and just expect income once a year, and they shift to growing vegetable that they can have weekly income. And not only that, they could also sell like 80 to 90% of one crop instead of 50% like they used to do, because the old place that they used to send to, they expect like top-notch shape, like super straight cucumber and something like that. But when we introduced to them that agri produces actually has a demand in Bangkok, it really helps them sell 40% more on top of what they are able to sell. Or when we say to consumers that, oh, you should, if you want to make a change, you should eat things that are from sustainable sources. I feel like and every time I say that, I just like keep your information right, and we just like, oh, and you can act right now because we are doing this already and we already have the solution for you. I feel like Happy Grocers is kind of like a convenient way for people to make change, I think. And that's something that I've learned, which is if we want a change to happen, maybe sometimes it's more effective to actually create that solution for people and not just like blame other people for it.
Yeah. So like according to what Mo said, I think that like Happy Grocer that we have kind of services that not same like others that selling fruit and vegetable is because we listen to the user. So we put like as the user center, which is our buyer as well and our supplier as well. That is like how we listen to them. We really try to understand what really going on, what do they want, and try to see whether there is a room or opportunity that for us to create something or not. And that is how Happy Grocer not only sell food and vegetable to the deliveries, but we also have the truck. It's because people want to experience the farmer market, but we are going to the shopping mall, to the counter place. So that is how, okay, so then we bring the farm to their door. And that is business was started by listening and talking to our customer. And also another one with the workshop, with the education, is actually what our user will request that they want to learn more in terms of that if this kind of sustainability mindset can set to their children, maybe that is easier for them to have the sustainability lifestyle. And that is how Happy Grocer communicate to the client as well, because we want to try to make the community, we want it to be convenient for our client to have, and so they can live their lifestyle sustainability in a sustainability way easily to Happy Grocers that to shop food and vegetable with us.
Thank you very much. I think we're already touching a lot on the topic we wanted to talk more about, the food of the future. Before we go into that, I wanted to encourage the audience again to post questions in the Q&A feature so we can address them later in this session. But I also wanted to ask you, you mentioned create understanding. How do you create understanding? What do you do exactly? Just give us a little sneak peek behind the curtain.
Sure. So when we talk about creating understandings, about giving people reasons why they should shop at our store, which is the way you like to do marketing, which is like to educate people, right? We means to also assume that people would not know all these technical terms in sustainability. For example, breaking down what organic actually means, permaculture actually means, what does it mean when we talk about not using pesticides, like what kind of fertilizer we have to use and stuff like that. It's about trying to break down the process and operation as much as possible and giving reason why things are that way. Like, for example, why is it that although we want to work with small farmers, but why can't we just work with only small farmer? Is because of consistency issue that I mentioned before, right? That's the reason why we have to be realistic and mix small, medium, and big farmers in our supply chain. Or why is it that in order to use plastic-free packaging when we deliver to people, why is it that we still use plastics during the operation? Is also because fruit and vegetable also need a certain condition in order to survive the whole journey. But then we try to adjust that. Whatever we do, we try to reuse the plastic that we have in supply chain as much as possible. Or things like, why is it that we ask customers for help to understand that sometimes when deliver herbs, why when they arrive it's not super fresh, or why is it that they need to be put in water right away? And this is also because if people want to have like plastic-free lifestyle, there are these little things that they have to know about the requirements of each product. And also enabling people to understand how is it that if they shop at Happy Grocer, if they support small farmers, they support chemical-free or sustainable agriculture, how is that each purchase would enable us to create a bigger market for sustainable product, which then would convince more farmers to shift to sustainable agriculture. So it's about like breaking things down and make people understand their role in the whole value chain.
Yeah, and I think one more thing that would be like, because people talk a lot about organic vegetable that is like good for their health and good for their body, but then no one never really mentioned what is good of consuming organic vegetable is actually helping the world, because it's actually good for the environment. And when people know that, like, oh, I just eat organic vegetable, it's actually make me healthy and I also can save the world. And the way we do social media on our platform as well, we kind of make our client to be like they are the hero. They're saving the world that because of they consuming the organic produce, and also that the agri produce, which is if the more beauty that you have expectation on the vegetable that you want to buy, is actually suffer the side of the supplier. And if you're have less expectation on the beauty of the produce, it's actually you're helping the world, you're helping farmer directly, because they will have opportunity to make more income as well, and which is good for their family financial. And that is like in the role for our client, they can be the hero that only consume the organic produce from Happy Grocers.
Yeah, I think it's also about like we actually never blame why customers sometimes don't understand what we do, because it's actually, I believe it's actually the result of what businesses have done before we started Happy Grocers. I feel like a lot of consumers rely on business for information about food, for information about how things are going, where things are from. And it has been super limited before we started our business. Things like what chemical actually is put in meat, or what fertilizer people actually use in vegetable, right? So what we're trying to do is to share as much as possible about what we do, because we have access to our resources, to our suppliers directly, so that not only give them the reason to buy from us, but also educate them for them to make better decisions for themselves, for the producer, and also for the planet as well.
I think that's a very important point, and that's very amazing work you guys do. It's not only facilitating economic growth for small and medium farmers, and providing good food to people, but that you can also make a direct impact on the farming conditions and the use of those chemicals. For me, I was quite surprised what all kind of chemicals are being used here in Thailand still, whether it's being with watermelons or herbicides, something like that. So I think that's a great importance of which might be just a side mention, but I think in terms of public health, it's one of the most important things. Yeah, very cool. Very cool. Thank you for your remarks, for sure. I would like you to ask something, sort of a quick fire question. Keep your answers short if possible. Pearl, can you give me your definition of food of the future?
Food of the future, I think, is anything that you consume, you must have the knowledge and information about it, because like you should know what you're eating, you should know what you're consuming, and you should know where it comes from. And that could be called the future, because you also can predict your own health, whether what the health of your health would be in the future, what will your, like, you will get healthy or sick from the food that you eat. Is that about the information? And that I will call food in the future.
Food now.
So Moh, what do you think, what do you consider food now?
Food now, exactly what Pearl just said, because I feel like people keep thinking that it has to be in the future to be able to access all this information, right? But it can't happen now. It's exactly what we are doing right now, which is how we try our best to share as information as possible. But again, like if our business started to grow one day and that our consumers are in a wider range, I think it really has to use some technologies, like for example, blockchain, to be able to make sure to all customers that everything is really traceable, that everything is really true, like the data on the website is true, data on the app is true, and that's it. I think it's a food now, not in the future anymore.
Cool, very good. Did you see already any technology inclusions in other countries, which you can draw inspiration from? Because you mentioned just now the blockchain traceability of production, basically. And I know that, for example, in the meat industry, that's a very big thing, with where the cow grew up, what it ate, where it was slaughtered, and how it made it in the supermarket, right? But are you aware of any examples in the vegetable space?
To my knowledge, I think I know a few startups in India that try to use blockchain, but only in rice, so that they could basically be able to trace where these rice are from, and that farmers would have more competitive advantage to be able to sell rice in the market. But in Thailand, I don't think there is any yet.
Mm-hmm. Why don't we shift a little bit the focus and talk a bit about the community aspect we already touched a little bit upon, but I think you outlined it quite nicely with the different stakeholders you have at Happy Grocers. And I know we just received a text message from a friend, CLM. She was in this shout out. And you do cooking classes as well, for example. Right?
Yeah.
So how has that journey been not only understanding customers, but also educating them? And what are like key lessons you can derive from that?
Yeah, sure. So we have been building our community through both online and offline channels. What like the first thing we have done before would be farm trip, where we take people to the farm in order for people to understand more that actually the food system doesn't only include just the product, but also the people or the producers of the product as well. And these people, they are super interesting. They have traditions, they have culture, they have beliefs that could really be something interesting for us to learn about how they apply these beliefs to drive sustainability. For example, a current committee that we took a trip, a group of people to learn more about their culture. They really believe that if we use synthetic fertilizer or synthetic chemicals in the way we do farming, that would be disrespectful to the guardian of the forest. So this belief really drives sustainability in that community. Other thing we have done before would be online offline cooking class. We just did cooking class last Saturday actually with a student from the international school. And this cooking class would really be a place where people can not only come and learn more about nutrition or science behind food or how they can make foods in a way that there's zero waste or in a vegetarian version, or getting to know more of the local ingredients. Is also a space where people could come and connect and basically build network with us as well. Another thing we also do is our event at Happy Grocer Home, Sukhumvit 65. We actually had a few events, but the biggest one is on our birthday in March 27th, where we have like cooking workshops, we have art workshop where kids can come and learn how to do pottery. So they get to make things by hand and they get to play with mud, so that we could really cultivate this love for being with the nature with something so profound like mud to kids. And it's really a place where we could really see people, how enjoyed people were to just like meet other people who believe in the same vision of supporting local farmers or supporting products that are grown in a sustainable way. And doing these events, and or just like being super mindful with the way we use social media to really answer questions in a way that we really show that we care, that we really do research to answer everything that you ask. We really see that it started to grow our community and really build a customer base that really are in love with our brand, which is really lovely.
I think it's really cool where you are at already. Like you're a young company, but it's coming from the ultra lean MVP of just posting about like who wants groceries to now creating a community with educating children to love dirt, basically. That was really cool. Where do you see Happy Grocers go to in the future? What are next steps?
So we actually try to improve our service by like it have to be more fast speeds, because right now people have to order and then they get their stuff next day. And with the grocery truck as well is limited to the number of customers. So what we try to complete is that we want it to be more fast and convenient, because when people purchase, they want to get the produce as fast as possible, and that is Happy Grocer is working on that. And we also like want to move it to more like traceability, so then people like we don't have to repeat what we are doing, what we're trying to do, where it come from, all over and over again. We want everything to be in one place where people can access and see it from everywhere in the world.
Yeah. On top of that, because the way we do marketing is essentially education, right? We also explore how do we provide experiences for people online, especially in schools, to have workshops in sustainability, social entrepreneurship, or even have hackathon on sustainability, cooking class, any workshop but online, because we could really see that we kind of think that COVID is going to be with us for a really long time. So instead of waiting for things to open again, we also adjust the way we do our community activity as well.
Yeah, and for like as you know that like Thailand is kind of agriculture is very big industry for Thailand, and the more we talk, people can get inspired by us very easily because we're young and we're very into it about agriculture, and that is how they think it is very interesting. And then when we showing the point why we interest in the agriculture, because it proved that like during COVID time, whether like the first wave, second wave, or third wave, food is actually that the need that people have to consume. And then but what we're trying to do is that bringing them to the new information that they never had or they never get it before. And so can it's also like inspire the people to see that like with agriculture that Thai people try to avoid that to get involved in the industry, because they will assume that like they're poor because you're working about food and vegetable. Is actually have a room of opportunity to improve. What we can do right now is about the market side and also like building a community among the farmer. But what we don't have is the knowledge of agriculture itself and even like innovation for the agriculture. So we also want to be the person that inspire young people that want to do something good about agriculture. So maybe Thai agriculture will be better and more efficient with the Asian region.
Yeah, I feel like we are spending the next 5 years trying to make people see that agriculture is cool.
I think that's a great goal. 100%. You mentioned a couple of times COVID. Just for all people in the audience, you started your business last year, right? So
Yeah.
right at the beginning of the pandemic, which for many businesses is like a dead start from the get-go. Can you just talk a little bit about like the impact of the special circumstances for you, and maybe how it shaped also your way of perceiving the food business?
Yeah, sure. So, like you mentioned before, Happy Grocers started because of COVID, right? But since COVID, first time it hit Thailand, there has been a lot of changes after that, right? I mean, for the perspective of customer behavior. So although COVID kind of did a favor for us to start the business, but after that, we also have to consistently listen to our customers and change the way or adjust the way we do business all the time, either the way we do marketing or the way we serve people with our service, like logistics or supply or getting new products and stuff. So I would say that that experience kind of taught us to also learn how to adapt all the time, because with this digital transformation, customer behavior changes actually really, really fast. So we learn to plan, but to not be too attached to the plan, but also be always ready to adjust or add new things or cut some things all the time.
Great, thank you. Yeah, I think I would like to introduce the audience a little bit. We have 2 questions, if you may. Alex writes, you both seem to be very sympathetic with your stakeholders, especially the farmers. Are either of you related to that farming families, or do you have another connection that has encouraged you on that journey?
You can go first, Pearl.
Can you repeat again?
Sure. Basically, it asks if you have some personal connections to farmers, if you come from a farming family, or if you have other connections that encouraged you on your journey.
So basically, like my family background, they're actually farmer. So I kind of like know the struggle of the being a farmer. So then I tried to get out of like going back to agriculture when it was like the university time, and then I get a chance because like we have some connection, like even though from my family, both side of my mom and my dad. So it's very easy for me to reach out to the farmer who do certain things and to get the insight from them. And like with the rice that we talking about the fair trade, the guy that we interviewed him is actually I know through my mom that, and they recommend that this guy he really do organic, because sometimes the organic that I told you it can be very tricky, and you have to know that person, or someone said that he really do it and recommend by someone that is like trustworthy enough. So what we can see and have the personal connection with the guy is actually we can see how we can help him grow with his business. We even like what I think that what I like about Happy Grocer, we said to them that don't let us be only channel to sell your product, but we actually giving them an idea and actually take from them, and we ideate out, and then we help them that what you could do better. So then I also can help you sell, and you also can sell it to your own channel as well. And that is how the personal contract that we got from the farmer. And more than that, if you remember the guy that know that we didn't sell the organic produce at the beginning, he was the soil inspector. He actually working for Organic Thailand, and then he know which farm exactly that growing organic food and vegetable, and he introduced us to be in a community. But it's very hard. The guy can only introduce, but you have to make impression by yourself. And that I think they can see me and Mo sincere that we spend time with them, we eat with them, we even spend the night with them, and we go and back to their farm very often. So they trust us. They see our face that we didn't run away. That the first visit that we been there, and that to get a certificate, that to come to our store and sell that paper. No, because we will try the opportunity to go back to their farm and do more activity, not only selling, but also like do the farm trip as well. Because the farm trip in Supplier is actually the farm that we get the produce from.
Very
Yeah.
cool.
For me, actually, my family is kind of like, my great grandma was farmer, like it's like great grandma that was farmer, because they tried to escape being farmers. My generation people work for the government, as in like my mom's dad, like that level, they work for the government because that's like something that people are so passionate about and really want to be. But when it comes to my generation, it's more of like, oh, they just let me do anything that I want to. So what I started to explore during my work when I was in university was around sustainable development, and it got me to go to like Nepal, go to Singapore, go to Cambodia, work a lot in Thailand as well, to try to see how international organizations are doing sustainable development with a foreign country. And it taught me a lot of the lessons about how something doesn't work or how something works in the sustainable development space. So I just become really like passionate about trying to seek for an answer of what actually would be the solution for Thailand, especially in agriculture. So because I'm like, I feel like I was born a Thai person, and I really wanna do something as someone who grew up here and who have seen how much things goes wrong and how many things need to be improved. So I started to like experiment with a few things, and Happy Grocer actually is the first thing that started to be the catch, where we could really come up with a model that would really change the livelihood of the farmers, that would really give incentive to consumers to pay for something that actually would uplift the community, or would actually boost the economy of many provinces in Thailand. And yeah.
Thank you. Very cool. Pearl, can I ask you this other question? Because you mentioned the initial conversation with the farmers and the soybean inspector. What that is Suravat's question. What other pain points have you observed or noticed through your interaction with the farmers?
Is about the price, the fair trade, because like when we talk to the farmer that we want to get the produce, they would ask, how much will you give, and what is the spec of the produce, and then when you come up with those, and the price is like kind of changed, because in it's depending on the spec of the produce that you have to them, but they will have the rule of the price, because they have to check with the central, is the Ministry of Commerce that would tell what is the price for each produce. But sometimes what we sit down and ask them, that is really pay off your hard work that you have put in the farm. And sometimes of them will say the more they work, the more they have to input, because of they have to spend the time in the farm like the whole day. But non-organic farming is actually you just spray the chemical, and then half of the daytime you're just spent to do something else. And thus is the price where the farmer cannot get the value for their hard work from. And that is how Happy Grocer we encourage them. Tell us what is the price that's fair for you. But we just not allow them just to go high the price as much as they want, not, because sometimes it have to be reasonable as well. But then we can see that we will have the room for like to get the price and services and operation for our client to pay. Because if our price comparison is actually cheaper than the big supermarket, every supermarket, but the price that we get directly from the farmer is actually the very very good price, and we have the room of income in that as well. And what I'm trying to say is that we get the price where our farmer is happy to sell, and we also have the price that our client are happy to buy it from that as well. It's because we cut all those middlemen. We cut all the unnecessary middleman, and we will be the single middleman in the middle that try to get all the produce. And we will make sure that the farmer sell a good produce, even though it's not in the very beautiful spec. They also like will inform us, and we will have that information because we work directly with the farmer. Then we have those information to do marketing with our client. Like last week, our supplier have like 500 kilo, actually 3 tons of mango, which is a oversupply that is going to be waste. Because we work directly with the farmer, he give us this information. So we do the campaign last week that helping the farmer by buying the cheaper price of the mango. So then we can help the farmer to get rid of the oversupply mango as well. And that is like the connection and relationship that we have with farmer. And because when they oversupply, they also lower the price of the produce for them to get rid of the produce in the farm as well. But then when they have the produce, and even though it's in high season, they will put us as a priority for us not to rising up higher up the price of the produce as well. And that I think is the priority that we have and the relationship that we have, because when they in a very bad situation like oversupply, we help them. But when there is a high season that people try to get the produce from their farm, they will make sure that they will have this produce for us, and the price is not changing. Because Happy Grocers, we will not change the price, because we will not put this problem to our client to pay higher, because we work with farmer directly and we have the price, the roof price already, that it will not change, except like in a certain circumstance.
Thank you very much for that answer. I think it's very interesting. We have one more question from Kun Chitapat, who asks, you put in place a system that reviews and monitors your suppliers to guarantee that they deliver quality product. Do you have a system which reviews and monitors your suppliers to guarantee the delivery of quality products?
To be honest, we don't have a system. We actually like using line and taking picture before they send it to us. And then when I think it's about the product, like for the mango is very sensitive. It can get damaged very easy. So what we talk to the farmer is that get the one that young, that still have like 2 to 4 days for them to be ready to eat. So for the logistic wise, it's actually when it get hit or whatever, it will not get damaged. And that is how we secure our quality of our produce. But yes, but no, we don't have any system at the moment.
Yeah, and when Pearl mentioned that we don't have the system, we talk about like the look of it and like whether it's going to be bruised or not when it arrives at our store. But when we talk about whether it's actually really chemical free and stuff like that, we often take trips to our supplier farm as much as possible, or we would have someone hold accountable on these farms to make sure that it's actually really still standard that we expected. For example, that's the reason why we still have A, who is our lead supplier, to be our main supplier, because then A can actually work with a few communities to really make sure that other communities in Payao also would follow the guideline of like chemical-free, organics instructions that we have set for our farmers as well.
We have a last question, if you mind, from Mark. Do you tend to support farmers more over increasing quality or increasing quantity? Is there a problem reconciling the two? The quality and quantity?
Yeah, that would be quality, because the more we talk with the non-organic farmer, we actually ask them that, like, if they change to do the organic farming, so that will be in the state of GAP, of like the transparent. We also will make sure that, like, we also buy the produce from them, because the value of the produce is actually like 2 to 3 times more if they shift to do organic, and they really take a good care of that, so that you don't have to work in the big huge field of the land. You can work in this really small land, but you can earn as same as the big one if your produce is good enough, if your produce is organic, if your produce is very beautiful, or is like it's really like meet the standard. And that's all, because that is how we encourage them to do it. Because in the side of agriculture, if you do a big scale of farming, it's actually not good for the environment as well, and sometimes it's over consuming for human as well. Because like even Happy Grocer service, people can like get the produce by the produce as much as they want, and even like 1 gram of vegetable, 1 gram of salad vegetable, they can buy from that. But in the big supermarket, they will have the certain weight, certain amount that people have to buy, like which is 200 gram or whatever. So sometimes it's like it's going to be the waste as well. So as Happy Grocers, we will make sure that like the quality of the produce is good, so the price that the farmer get is also good as well. And for the client side, we will not force the client to buy in the minimum wage. They will buy any way that they want, that which is fit for the amount of consuming that they have. And I think that is like kind of balancing in the both side of supplier and the client.
Yeah, and that's really applied to our grocery truck, because we actually make bill by weight of products, and we don't have packaging, so people usually just bring their own reusable bags or containers to the truck, which we have about 26 locations in Bangkok right now. With websites, it's a little tricky, because the system of the website is that you can't really just use weight, right? That's the reason why we have to make things like in 200 gram, 300 gram, or just 100 gram. But we try as much as possible to make those units as little as possible, so that people could have a choice to have just a tiny bit of things if they want to, or if they want a lot, they can just like double the quantity.
Great. Yeah, I'm a big fan. I think we are almost at the end of our session, so I have 2 options for you guys as a last question from my side before we close up and say goodbye to the next time. The one thing which I would be interested is, because for me it's fascinating that you guys go out to the countryside and meet with farmers, and it's kind of, from my perspective, it's like worlds colliding in a way. I mean, you said you have family backgrounds in farming, so it's probably from your perspective not so much, but as young women going out to the countryside and convincing them to trust you, because your business model is very much based on trust, and you do all the hard work and the lifting to gain that trust. So there's a value in your work, and they will see that over time. But there must be some funny story in like the first encounters. I would be very curious to hear one. That's one question, and the other one would be like, is there anything coming up which you would like to share with us so people can keep their eyes open for Happy Grocers?
Yeah, actually, building trust is not super easy, but it's not super hard, because we only go to farmers through our connections. Like, for example, if you go just by yourself, if we didn't know PA and we just do it by ourselves, it would be another story. But because PA has been working with farmers before, especially farmers that he referred to us, it makes things much easier because people already trust PA. And I think, but how we take on that connection would be that, so me and Pearl always have this curious kid hat on all the time. And we never say to our farmers, oh, you should do this because it's better. I know better from Bangkok. We never say that. We always position ourselves to be just like young people wanting to learn more. And when people from rural areas are treated with respect like that, they are really happy to share anything that they know. And they really enjoy when people really see value in what they do with hard work. So it has been actually really, really seamless for us to build relationship to our farmers.
And I think one thing is that maybe they never get asked by the buyer to take the picture, to take their story, to tell to perfect, you know. They're actually happy to do so, because we said we want to get your story for people to know who you are, who is the behind the food that they eat every day. And they're more happy than that, because they don't want to be seen as a farmer who work very hard, but they also they want to feel the value of bringing the food to people to eat every meal, to eat every day. And that is kind of proud that they want to have. And we see that like it's very valuable. So that's why Happy Grocer, I think even the pop-up event on the last Sunday, to last Sunday, we had the farmer deliver the mango right in front of the event. And we're not tied to hire our farmer. We're not tied to hire, like, because some industry, they don't want to know who is the supplier, that to have the power of negotiation. But we're not scared of that. We just think that like we give them the sincere, we honest to them, we honest to our client. And also that is how we gain the trust from them as well, that, oh, I can see their client and the client can see me, and the client also trust Happy Grocer because they see the supplier deliver the mango to the truck like over there. And I think that is like how the trust is built. And of course in that community they will tell about our story to other supplier, because I try to get the supplier who we don't have that connection before. It's very hard. Even though we said that we will be the market for them, they will ignore, because they grow organic food and vegetable, which is very value for them. They will not trust the buyer that easily, because very often that the buyer steal the certificate and claim that all the produce that they sell is organic, which is sometimes they don't even get produced from the supplier.
A lot of seed company always come to farmers and be like, buy our seed, and then we would buy your product and just never come back. So farmers actually have a lot of trust issues, but it's easy when we have connections. I just realized what's the funny story is. So in Thailand, every little community, they would have their own specialty drinks in like many ways, that they do their own alcohol. So every time we go to have new suppliers, they would also like introduce us to new drinks. And that is also another way for us to build connections and trust among our farmers as well. And I remember vividly the last time we went to Payao, and we actually sit down with our farmers who are Hmong minority, who migrated from China like 200-300 years ago to the mountains in that area. And he said to us, okay, quote unquote, business people need to be like this. They need to come sit down with us like this and really get to know us, and that they really like us. And yeah, that was really, really beautiful that suppliers trust us that much and say that to us. I was almost in tears because I'm just sensitive, but yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, I think you can take a lot of validation from that you are doing the right steps and you're having the right approach. Kudos, like that's very good. Thank you guys so much for your time. Like if you have anything to share, like a next special event or where people can find you to learn more about Happy Grocers, there's the website for sure, happygrocers.co, right? And on Facebook, it's at Grocers Happy.
Oh, that's our email. Okay, I can do that part. So you can follow us on Facebook, Instagram is at Happy Grocers, or just if you want to do online delivery, like home delivery through online website, would be happygrocers.co for next day delivery. But if you want to get delivery in the same hour, you can use GrabMart and just search Happy Grocers. We open from about 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. every day. And we was just on a documentary by Thai PBS, and that documentary actually summarizes everything that we have done for the past 1 year really nicely, and it's available in all languages. My friends is watching in Dutch, so I'm sure any language in the world they would have it. So it's about like 24 minutes, and it talks about how we actually started, how we run our grocery truck or our home delivery service, and you can also look at how our farms actually works as well, because the team actually really put a lot of work to really follow us and go to these sources and come to see how we work. So if you search Happy Grocers on YouTube, it probably is going to be the first one by Thai PBS. And yeah, and also if you are interested in like online cooking workshop or just interested to collaborate to do online classes on sustainability, we would be more than happy to collaborate with you, because me and Pearl, we actually have background in sustainability and social entrepreneurship. So we could like collaborate for content from like kindergarten to university level. If you're interested, just hit us up on hello@happygrocers.co.
Thank you very much, and I will make sure to link the documentary to the video on Facebook so everybody can access it. Thank you so much for my cap. Thank you so much for being here, Pearl. Thank you so much for being here. Very much enjoyed the talk with you guys.
All right, thank you so much for having us, and hope to work with Sasin more. And see you guys around Bangkok.